Yeah, let's take Mark real quick here. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, Jacob and Jack, good evening. We're about 10, 15 minutes north of Buffalo in a rural farm field here. The safest place to be in central Illinois appears to be about 5 or 10 minutes behind the WCIA 3 news van coming from Springfield heading here. It's a beautiful skylight behind us, but you can see where the storm has progressed. I also want to show you two things. First, the flooded farm fields here. We're going to take a look at just how quick and impactful the rains were that left a lot of the signs of some of the quick flooding that came through here. Also, a farmer driving past just a moment ago reporting 4 broken power lines. Again, this swept through here pretty quickly, but we wanted to try to give you some picture from the perimeter of what we're seeing on the ground. Again, just behind us, the sunset happening. You're seeing we're about maybe 20 minutes north of Mechanicsburg. Again, I think, Jacob, you had referenced that location as something where there may have been some activity, some severe weather there as well. So we're working our way as we can safely with your instructions here. We're working our way closer to Decatur and hope to have our eyes on that scene very shortly. But wanted to give you that quick update. Just some flooding in farm fields here and a few downed power lines. But for now, we're fortunate that's all there is. Jack?
Mark, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. This is our view from Decatur still on our Carriage Crossings weather camera and our Flooring America iNet. You've got now the rain coming into the town itself. Our local storm reports, as you can see, over the past 24 hours, we've had now, as I can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different tornado reports. A lot of those have been actually indicated where they have been on the ground. So the storm has produced a number of tornadoes, and it's the one that has our current warning on them right now. Now, off to the north really fast here, you've got, just for an example, just some showers right now. This northern storm, our Decatur storm, as well as our Macon County one, that's the one that does have our warning on it, and that's the one that has the tornado warning with it. But we have some severe thunderstorm warnings down to our south. Still, though, right around the Booty area there, we do have our inflow notch, and that's going to be very important to keep an eye on there. Your circulation's probably right there, and that's what we have on our camera. It's looking in that direction from Decatur from our Carriage Crossings weather camera. Our Flooring America iNet doing a great job there, showing us not only the approaching supercell thunderstorm, but also all the lightning with it, which has just been a lot of that's been CG, cloud to ground, and that means that it's actually coming down and touching the ground, and so we're going to have to look out for potentially some issues with that. But we've got our velocity here, our inbound and our outbound winds, and you've got these strong winds, especially the bright color there. That signifies that there are some very strong winds within that, and it's also causing the storm to rotate around as well. And wow, just our camera there is showing a bunch of lightning as this is coming into the Decatur area with really our main area of concern down to our south as well as our southwest of the city there. So any locations nearby, even though the northern side of town is probably going to be seeing a little bit in the way of fewer impacts, the entire city of Decatur should be in their safe spot right now. That circulation there, I've been saying, very close to the area of Booty. That's where our inflow notch was, looking at our velocity. That's where it's there. And again, that's where there that notch is. So that everything is matching up nicely here in terms of using our radar sciences to picture and figure out where our tornado warning is. This still does have the confirmed tornado tag with that, which means that there has been a confirmed tornado with it, so we're going to assume that it still is on the ground. We are still kind of waiting for our latest updates, but this storm not only has the winds with it, but also the large hail too. Now this thing that we're looking at right now is called our correlation coefficient, and we like to commonly call that our debris tracker. What that's able to do is the radar is able to see everything that's in the sky, but if it's water-based, so a raindrop or hailstone, it's going to show up as more of a uniform color. If we get more in the way of other colors showing up, then there could be some debris, and maybe, Jacob, what do you think?
I kind of think, Jack, looking at that, maybe there's the inflow really kicking up.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that, as you see those bright reds that just crossed 48 south of Booty there, that's wind surging around here. We've got my dad in Macon right now, and I'm going to pull a photo up real quick, Jack, if I can, and just show you that real quick in the background. You can kind of point out what we're looking at. So let me set that up and take a peek there. And
yeah, so this is, again, so especially off on the corner there, that's going to be your lowering of the storm itself. But you've got this kind of the base. Here's the base of the thunderstorm, and you've got kind of more of the clear air there. So whatever was supposed to touch down in terms of a tornado would be there in the classic setup of a supercell thunderstorm. That's where it should be. And
I think too, Jack, you kind of look at that image is maybe something we're dealing with here. We may not get that clear image of a tornado at this point because of that storm south on 48 crossing from Stonington to Moody, surging out there. But sometimes when these storms move and interact, there's your inflow notch.
Yeah.
You can get something to spin up pretty quick there. And at this point, the radar is going to be our best friend watching this. Storm spotters are still out there. They're watching us, believe me. But we're just going to have to watch that close.
Yeah, because sometimes storms, when they interact with each other, they can sometimes make them stronger, or other times they just knock them down too. But we don't know that until the basically congealing of the storms is complete. So we're still going to be assuming that our circulation is going to be right around the Booty area there. But the whole storm itself is very big. We've got still on our Flooring America iNet camera there, the view now is not exactly very good in terms of picking out different features of the storm. It's now too close. It's raining there. And so we'll still keep an eye on things in terms of the lightning, which has still always been very impressive to look at. But in terms of what we expect and seeing more of the structure of the storm itself, that ship has sailed with our Decatur view there. Still, though, we'll keep it up here for a while. Also have the severe thunderstorm warning to the south of the tornado warning for Christian and Macon counties for 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as 1-inch in diameter hail. So there still is going to be some strong winds with that, especially kind of right there along the leading edge of that. That's where you get that push of air out of the storm. That can sometimes be quite strong, and we have to look out for maybe even some little circulations along that. Currently, as of right now, this warning is of just the severe thunderstorm warning criteria. There's not a tornado possible tag with it, but we'll keep an eye on that one there. I'm not saying that it's going to be any less dangerous, because sometimes straight line winds end up doing more damage than a tornado, because a tornado, if it's very small, it impacts only a small area, but a huge area of strong winds is going to do a lot of damage. So don't want to minimize that threat there, but our tornado warning still remains confirmed here as it goes through the Macon County area. That circulation and that inflow notch right there by the Booty area, and this would be trending more on the south side of Decatur, but everybody within Decatur, as well as all those locations, even getting closer to outside of that warning, like in LaPlace, you want to make sure that you're also ready to go too, in case we get any more new information. Zooming out, you've got more storms in the way of severe thunderstorm warnings across portions of southern Christian counties. Got them back into Montgomery as well as Macoupin counties as well, or Fayette counties, I should say. No, Macon, Montgomery counties. We've got those, but those are all of the 60-mile variety as well. Jacob, got anything new?
You know, just kind of watching here and keeping eyes on it. I did make contact with my dad. And I got to mention first off, my dad and a family friend, Marty Nuss, is out there too with them, helping out and spotting. That's good. I've just learned that here. So they've got multiple eyes that are watching, keeping them safe. They're in Macon right now. They're saying that they're seeing the rain curtains really wrap around and surge ahead towards them. And I believe that there, that circulation, Jack, may end up becoming more rain-wrapped as far as it goes. We don't have any updates for the tornado warning, Jack. Maybe we can give it all clear, though, for Niantic and Harristown. Still the city of Decatur. Give us a few more minutes. It looks like it may stay just south, but I don't want to say, oh, part of Decatur, and make some folks think they're safe when they're not. Long Creek, Harveyville, down to Dalton City, anywhere between Decatur and Macon as well. Stay in your shelters for now, including the Elwyn area as far as it goes. So really, Jack, maybe the wind is starting to take over with this threat here.
Yeah.
You kind of look at that and you can see it bowing out a little bit.
And if you, if we can have our, have me with Max one behind me, just one, and then Jacob, if you could loop it as well.
Sure.
The loop looks a lot faster now.
Yeah,
Did you say that? The loop looks a lot faster.
I've moved it to the last hour to give you an idea here, and let me just maybe slow it down so you can see it a little better here. And storms are picking up a bit as far as it goes.
Yeah.
Before we do that, Jack, just seeing another severe. Let's see. That was it. That was, oh, you know, that severe thunderstorm warning, got to mention real quick, this one that was for Christian County, it did have part of Sangamon County in it.
Okay.
But look at that little sliver there. I think that was just more of an error.
Oh, yeah.
There's no intent. So as you're in Sangamon County, you got that alert. We're not worried about Sangamon County at this point. Sangamon County, we're all clear. Logan County, all clear. So we'll loop it here, and you'll be able to see that that general transition to maybe some surging winds, some damaging winds in southern Macon County.
That's exactly what I want to point out. It looks like the winds might be surging there, which sometimes means that the storm might be changing more, and it kind of loses more of its supercellular type of characteristics, and it might be trying to become more of a line, more even of a bow, potentially. Might be in the early stages of that. We'll have to wait and see how it evolves. But when that happens, you sometimes can get some very strong winds out of that. And also, too, sometimes, you know, we're going to change the type of cone that we're going to use for our times here. So Moequa High School, 7:07. LaPlace, potentially at 7:16. We've got no, you're good. Other locations that are coming in here as the storm moves off to our east-southeast. Hervey City at 7:10, Dalton City at 7:18, Flat Branch 7:22, potentially Lovington at 7:33, Dunn, Findlay, Sullivan, Allenville, all down the line there as we get closer to 8 o'clock, but that's still if this storm continues to hold together. Sometimes what happens with these storms when they do that push out of the wind like that, sometimes it's changing over to, like I said, more of a wind threat. Other times, too, the storm is collapsing, which can sometimes happen as well. But we're not going to just know that right now. We have to wait for a few more radar scans to get that. So,
Jack, I do want to just mention, I just checked the update. It's actually moving at 45 miles an hour.
okay, so that makes sense now. When you get that push, sometimes it's not only becoming more of a wind threat, it's also the storm physically itself is now moving faster as well. So now we've got some updated times here to reflect the fact that it's moving more at 45 miles an hour to the southeast. So Dalton City at 7:10. Flat Branch 7:11, Lovington at 7:20. So some of these may not have changed a whole lot, but we add in some other spots like Shelby County or Shelbyville coming at 7:38, Gaze 7:43, and then Mattoon 7:47, Charleston just before 8 o'clock. That's if it keeps on going in this direction. We still do have the severe thunderstorm warnings down to our southwest with those other cells down there, and this is again probably going to be a bit more favorable in terms of severe area because these storms are now the southern storms, and so they're on the receiving end of the warm, humid air. But the problem is, though, is that it's 7 o'clock, a little after 7 o'clock, we might be running out of some of the peak fuel for these storms to go, so they may not end up being as strong as what we've seen already. We'll keep an eye on things, how these ones develop, but still, though, the tornado warning, Jacob, doesn't that one have another 9 minutes? Doesn't it go until 7:15?
Yeah, they did update it. They're still calling it a confirmed tornado here. Okay. I'm going to pull that up. I'm trying to get our camera turned as well so we can look a little more south and whatnot. The lights are all still on, though, in downtown. That's good.
Yep, that's good.
As far as it goes. But they're saying it's a confirmed tornado. They have the tornado warning, interestingly enough, Jack, going at 30 miles an hour. But the storm to the south there, they've upped it to 40 miles an hour. In fact, they just extended that warning, too. Okay. So still, I'd say Decatur. If you're in Decatur north of the lake, I think at this point we want you just a few more minutes. Long Creek, Mount Zion, down to the areas south of Decatur on 51 and 121. That takes you down towards parts of Moultrie County. We're going to be watching this move forward, but we may be evolving into more of that wind threat, Jack.
Yeah, and that's usually what happens when we have storms that are initially going. They are more individual cells, and that's usually more of your tornado threat. Then as they kind of all come together, then it becomes more of a line. But we've been able to keep the individual cells characteristics for a long time with these storms. But our models were maybe trying to pick up on that earlier today in the late afternoon hours. This was definitely a tough forecast for sure with it. But our severe thunderstorm warning comes out of that storm, and it goes for Coles, Douglas, Moultrie, and Shelby County. So this is definitely one that takes it quite a ways out. They're going to call it for 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch in diameter hail. So we'll see if that's what this storm transitions into and it loses the tornado tag with it. First off, though, notice that it's a yellow. And so there is currently no tornado possible tag with it, not necessarily saying it can't happen, but that's good news from the National Weather Service that they're not adding that little bit of information in there with that. Just a few more minutes to go now, about 7 minutes. And this is a view that we're going to see here. Is this from the mayor?
This is from the mayor.
Okay.
He's they're letting us know, him and Marty Nuss, you know, you love saying that, Jack, don't you?
I mean, it's just being respectful.
Yeah, I know. It's fine. I call him Dad, so that's okay.
So,
yeah, he's down in that Macon area, south of Decatur. You kind of get the idea of that shelf cloud surging out a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is now definitely more of a shelf cloud. This is not so much of a wall cloud anymore. And I do always love with a shelf cloud how you've got those different colors that show up. In this case, a nice turquoise color. So that's looking up at the fact that there's not only a lot of raindrops within the cloud too, but also a lot of hail as well. So the hail still remains a issue with these storms as these are coming on through. But just a great shot there from the mayor as we see this storm potentially changing from more of a supercell to potentially more of a line with a shelf cloud with it. Still, though, those can be just as dangerous with some strong winds with them. But as of right now, the warnings that we have that are going to come out of it, and there's a new warning, right? Was that a new warning or just a refresh?
It was just a refresh, I think. They extended that warning. Of course, you saw that. It went all the way for Douglas, Coles, Moultrie, Shelby.
Yeah.
That's for that wind threat here. But what I want to do real quick, Jack, is I still want to roll in and kind of analyze this because the National Weather Service still is calling this a confirmed tornado near Decatur with that storm. So we're going to take a peek in there and watch it. Maybe when that wind surges on the north side, sometimes you can get that. And you see that circulation you're pointing out right there, Jack. And I'm going to take a look at the debris signature, too. And to me, I don't see anything.
No, I don't see anything either.
But I think we're getting a good definitive picture, that blue in front of it. That may be some dust blowing out with some straight line winds there from Dalton City down to Moweaqua, kind of in front of that surging bow to the south.
Yeah, that would make sense because here's the bow itself right there, and then here's all the dust getting picked up and blown out ahead of it as that storm approaches in there. So good news that we're not really seeing much in the way of debris, but definitely some strong winds out of this as this storm is most likely pushing itself out. We'll have to see if sometimes that can kill the storm. It can actually just blow itself out. And other times, too, it's just changing the type of mode that it is. It's going from more of a tornado threat to more of a straight-lined wind threat. And also, too, when we potentially see this storm maybe line out and maybe bow out a little bit more, becoming one of those shapes, it also loses a little bit more of the hail characteristics as well. So we'll see how this goes. But they still have another 5 minutes left of this confirmed tornado warning for basically Macon County, which does include the entire area of Decatur, but most of the impacts that we've been looking potentially would be on the south side of town. This is our view from Mattoon on our Casey Summers weather camera, our Flooring America INET. If this storm keeps on turning more like it has been to the southeast and it keeps on going, we may actually be able to see this come into the Charleston-Mattoon area as well. What you're looking at right now is the sunshine off to the west. Oh, sorry about that. Jake, could you? No, you're good. What you're looking at off to the west is the actual anvil of the supercell thunderstorm. So this is the very top of it that is tens of thousands of feet in the air, and then the storm itself coming in off the camera there. Most of that storm is going to be coming in off of the right side of your screen there, but that's essentially the kind of the UFO looking shape of these storms as it comes on through. A great looking shot there. And Mattoon, or from Charleston I should say, our first mid-weather camera on our Flooring America INET doesn't have the nice well-defined contrast of the sunshine there, but the storm is there. You've even got some of the lighter clouds there, which might indicate that you might be able to see potentially the shelf cloud here after a little while, but as of right now, it's still a ways away from the Charleston-Mattoon area, but that would be most likely the next camera that we switch to if this thing holds together.
And then Jack, we'll go back to Springfield, just kind of look at how much nicer things look there. Still a bit breezy. That cold front going to be pushing through soon, and that's going to end that threat for us here before all is said and done. I'm also going to try and get the camera here at the station turned and look at that. You know, we haven't talked about Champaign County, and I hope we don't have to. And I hope we get off here soon, but we'll get a nice view here as I turn that camera and pop it up. You'll be able to see that in just a second from the studio. So here it comes, and you can kind of look at that off in the distance there.
Yeah, so there we go with that. This is looking off to the distance. This would obviously be looking off to the southwest. You've got the sunshine peeking through some of the clouds, so it gives it a very cool look to it. But that's the storm as it approaches into well, it's down to the southwest, and I highly doubt that this will be impacting Champaign County. It's been moving more to the east-southeast more than anything else, and with that new warning that we have on it that was issued a few minutes ago, it clearly takes it well far to the south. But yeah, it might be Charleston-Mattoon's time to shine with their cameras there. So we still have another 2 more minutes of our tornado warning for Macon County. It still is a observed tornado. But we're going to wait and see what they decide to do with our next warning that comes out here in just a few minutes. Any clues in the NWS chat, Jacob, that you've seen?
Haven't seen anything new yet.
Yeah.
They're just kind of chatting about this storm, so we'll find out here. If you want, Jack, we'll go ahead and bring me back in the pod shot and kind of break it down here and give some folks an all clear. I think that's good to do for us here, so maybe we can adjust that camera a little bit and tighten it on in a little bit for our pod shot here, and so we can kind of get more of this on there as much as we can as far as it goes. And so what we're doing is we still have this tornado warning for an observed tornado and golf ball size hail in Macon County, but I think at this point, Jack, we can say all clear for Decatur, Mount Zion, Long Creek, Dalton City. Hopefully the trends we're watching support the tornado warning to expire in a few minutes. If that happens, though, Jack, I'd like to suggest that maybe we stay with it for a little while longer just to make sure a new warning doesn't pop up immediately on TV. So we give it a few minutes. Sometimes the National Weather Service is talking and debating, kind of like Jack and I do. You know, do we issue? Do we extend? What are we looking at here? And just to make sure we're clear for that here. And then I'm going to assume, Jack, that what we'll do is we'll just stay on digital for the rest of the night here and move that over to the app and move it over to the stream. So that warning will likely be either updated or be allowed to expire within the next 10 seconds. We're going to figure out what's going to go on here, and then we'll give it a few minutes just to make sure,
yeah.
As far as it goes here, that nothing new comes up. But as I look at this, the tornado warning now no longer in effect for Macon County. If you're in Mount Zion and Dalton City, it's 7:15 right now. I would still suggest maybe giving it a few minutes, just until we get confirmation from the National Weather Service office in Lincoln that they're not going to reissue it or that they're all clear in that. But I got to say, this looks like it's coming more of a damaging wind threat. Moweaqua down to Assumption here. You've got Dalton City and parts of Moultrie and Shelby County. Wind's going to surge out and head towards Lake Shelbyville and Sullivan and places like that. So we're going to watch it closely here and keep it updated. But, Jack, we may be transitioning a little bit away to more of a damaging wind threat.
Correct. Before
Before all is said and done. I don't want to discount that by any means.
Well, if anything, with the way that the storm looks right now, it very well potentially could have some stronger winds with it. The warning winds have always been at 60 miles per hour, the baseline winds, and so we actually may end up seeing this potentially kick up a little bit stronger, maybe getting closer to 70 miles an hour, let's say. I'm not sure how that's going to play out here, how the storm is going to do now that it's kind of congealed a bit more, but there's that potential that that could always be the case. Now, we're still going to be, again, there's no tornado warning with it right now. We have severe thunderstorm warnings out there. Typically, that would mean that we would drop out of coverage off of TV, but we want to make sure first that no new tornado warning is issued, because that happens a lot of times, and there's nothing worse than having to see us come back on after being off for 5 minutes or something like that. So just give us a few more minutes here to make sure that nothing new comes out of it. We're going to keep on checking up with the National Weather Service. We've got our chat open so we can see what they're thinking and see if they need to reissue anything. But as of right now, there has not been any new warnings issued except for from about 10 minutes ago when we got this big severe thunderstorm warning that goes for basically a lot of Shelby County and then back off towards I-57 where you've got more locations that could be potentially impacted should this hold together. We've got kind of some different lobes. Would that kind of make sense there, Jacob? Some kind of lobes out there, which does signify sometimes that we've got some strong winds with these storms, but it doesn't exactly have that classic shape that it had a little bit ago with the notch and in terms of our velocity there.
No, it looks a little more disorganized in
Yes.
a way here as I pop it up here with the velocity on the pod shot here. You know, we kind of look and see that, yeah, there's something going on. Again, when we look at a velocity shot like this, and then for the back as well, just so control knows, we'll put max 2 on the green wall for Jack so I can control here and he can stay back there and we can keep things going if need be. We'll give it a few more minutes. I've asked the question for the National Weather Service. They're looking through some things right now just to make sure. But we look at it, we're looking for the radar site up in Lincoln. That sits up here in the top left of your screen. That beam is shooting down there. You can see it sweeping on through. We've got green and red. Green going towards. So where is that going? Towards the radar this way from Bethany to Mount Zion. This red going away from, surging off to the south here, and likely, Jack, we're probably going to get into tornado warning the way it looks for all is said and done. They're working on it. They're asking the question. So at this point, I want to say, Bethany, I would say maybe just be in your shelter just in case here, especially with the strong wind. But there may very well be just a little circulation right in there as far as it goes. We'll watch and see. They're continuing the severe thunderstorm warning, of course. They're updating their alerts, but at this point, there's a reason we're staying here as far as it goes. Jalen, if we can we tighten my shot a little bit and cut some of this blue behind me here? I want to make sure folks are seeing this as much as possible and looking at that angle and making sure we're looking at things here. So, Jack, if you're seeing what I'm seeing, maybe there's just a little bit of a circulation right here just to the south of Dalton City that maybe will warrant a new warning before all is said and done. No update. Yeah. They said they're working on that now. I don't know what that means, but I suspect that probably going to get another one. And the reason for that is because we've got winds really surging out here, and we've got winds going that way. And that's a counterclockwise circulation right here. It's broad in nature, but it's still something where we think that it necessitates us staying on air with you right now for a few minutes longer until we figure out what the general trend is. But I gotta say, the wind threat really here for Obed, Moweaqua, Findlay, Sullivan, Windsor, Gaze, Mattoon, down to the south and east there. That's, I believe that's Illinois 116, if I remember correctly. 121, that is. From Sullivan, Bethany, Allenville. You're going to get some strong wind here into Moultrie County regardless. Strong straight-line winds can still be cause damage just like tornadoes can. And if we get some winds of 70 mile per hour plus out of this still, we'll have some power outages. We'll have some damage potentially to trees. We spend a lot of time on tornadoes, and rightfully so. They're dangerous. They can cause lots of damage, but they cause it in a localized area here. And the wind threat may win out. We thought that may happen. We thought we'd get at least a tornado or two in there and keep our eyes on it. Jack, let's go talk about Christian County. Show some love there real quick. I'll let you kind of talk about what we're looking here near Taylorville. I know folks there a little... maybe, I don't know the right word, a little, maybe have a little fear in their mind. You were covering that storm right here in the studio a couple of years back. Let's give some love to them in Taylorville and make sure folks in Christian County as well are getting some love here. And then I'm going to jump back for that new warning that just popped out. Yeah, so more than anything else right now, we're just kind of looking at more of a straight-line wind threat with this one. We've got this one for Christian County. You mind turning the warnings on that one real quick, Jacob? I don't remember which one that... I think this one goes until 7:30, 7:45. Hail is a little bit bigger with this one coming in at 1.5 inches, so that's going to be your ping-pong-sized hail. That's going to be, you can kind of see that's a big area there of even some of the reds and even some of the purples there, showing that that's a pretty big core, a large area of very heavy rain, and it's moving off to the southeast. And we also have, was that any more warnings down to the... Oh, yeah. We just got that new tornado warning that popped on in there. Okay. Radar indicated. We mentioned that. Yep. Moving southeast at 35, right down Bethany, Sullivan towards Allenville, eventually on 121. I think this is going to be a driving down 121 type of event for us here. Yeah. And as it takes that right turn. So we're going to watch that here and keep you updated as far as it goes, Jack. So that's our notch right there. So what's happened is that even though it's a pretty broad area of rotation, it's strong enough going in the different directions to where there's a chance that we can maybe see some spin up that does happen in there. And so we got our inflow notch right there, and it's going to be basically going down right down 127. So Bethany, make sure that you're in your safe spot. Sullivan as well. Lovington especially, I would say even though you're on the edge there, still just be ready to go just in case. But this storm has been moving off more to the southeast compared to the east like it has been over its lifespan since we got started with this a few hours ago. But you've got the rotation there. Again, it may not be the super tight couplet that we look at for or tornado warning, but there's a lot of broad rotation there, and that means that it could still throw down a tornado, and so that's why they've issued this warning. Again, please take this seriously. I know we've been calling for, okay, there we go, with the new update there, so that notch is basically right around the Bethany area there. So Bethany, done as well. Make sure that you guys are safe in your safe spot right now, and this storm is moving out to the southeast. Jacob, what's the speed of this storm? The speed is only 35 miles an hour. I'll say this too, Jack. That latest update that just came into is kind of an area from Bethany to Dalton City right on 121. The thing to note is with this particular storm is you keep your eye right here for me, right in here. And watch what happens when I pull up the radar. You know, if this is looking at velocity, how's the storm winds moving? What's happening? And we're seeing some rotation with that. There's nothing tight, nothing indicating something's down, but it's still strong enough where we've got the tornado warning. Look what happens when I put up the reflectivity. You're used to seeing it. Your eyes were probably right about here, right? Rain wrapped is the deal we're going to have with this storm. Now you're not going to see it at this point. We had some views of it earlier, and we may try and get that video back a little bit here before all is said and done, Jack. But for the most part at this point, it's going to be wrapped up in rain. I hope you trust us, and hope you know we're here for your best interest in Moultrie County, and with this tornado warning now coming right down 121, Bethany, Sullivan, Allenville. This will be north of Lake Shelbyville. But really, I think that 121 corridor is where we're going to watch this, Jack, as far as it goes.
It's going to go kind of right down the highway there. And like you're saying, rain wrapped. When you've got the notch like that, that's our inflow notch, but there's rain on all sides of it there, so it's going to be very difficult to tell. Also be very difficult to tell, too, if we have any trained spotters that are nearby the area, or even storm trackers. It's going to be hard for them to even see anything anyway. So treat it like we've got this one confirmed. This storm, again, is the one that keeps on bringing us these tornado warnings. So this is I think it's its 6th one right now so far for the evening, and we're going to keep on going with it. So it's moving up to the east at around 35 miles an hour. That puts many locations within Moultrie County potentially at risk. So make sure that from essentially Dalton City all the way down to southeast of Sullivan, you want to make sure that you're where you need to be right now for your safe spot. In terms of our hail, there's also been some large hail with this one too. And the straight line winds, especially on the leading edge of this, could be quite an issue as it comes on through some of these communities within Moultrie County. The winds may actually be picking up a bit more, and or at least being more measurable across more of the storm. Sometimes you have just little pockets of 60-mile-per-hour winds. This one might, in fact, have storms or have the winds with 60 miles an hour across a greater range of the storm. So we're going to keep an eye on this one. I know, unfortunately, we're still covering up normal programming, but with the tornado warning, this is what we have to do. And this storm has proven to be dangerous for a number of hours already this evening due to the fact that we've had multiple reports of tornadoes coming in out of this one.
Just want to mention Macon County all clear. First off, if we can bring the sky cam up in Matt Toon on max 1 full screen, we'll look at that and kind of hit the reset button. Jack, if you want to come back here and we can kind of organize some things real fast. We're watching that. You're seeing the storm approaching in the general direction this storm heads. The next camera we have on our Flooring America iNet weather camera network is that Matt Toon camera as far as it goes. And so we're watching and keeping an eye on it there. I will mention as well, Charleston, we've got eyes with you into the area. We're keeping a close look at you in those parts of the region. No warning for Coles County, but if you're downstream in Coles County, you might start thinking about what you're doing. We're looking at the First Mid-Bank camera there in Charleston. It's 74 according to the bank camera there. There's some instability. There's some fuel ahead of this particular storm as far as it goes. So we're watching it closely. We're keeping a close eye on it and really keeping things updated as far as it goes. Jack, we're here for one tornado warning.
Yep, we're here for one tornado warning. We've got the other warning still back into portions of Christian County that goes until 7:45. That's our only other warning that is currently out there. And that's it. There have been more storms that have developed, and those have really not been able to strengthen too much more. So hopefully our warnings stay limited to what we've already seen so far. I'm just kind of looping it here just to kind of show a little bit of a different view. Again, here's Champaign. We might get in a little bit of some rumbles of thunder into Champaign County, but a lot of this is going to be going south of town here in the south edge of town. But you're looking at quite a bit of locations in Platte County, seeing some heavy showers and those storms as well. This is coming in just in the southern edge of the county there, and it looks like they've trimmed up a little bit of that warning, but Moultrie County still remains the county under the gun for these warnings. The velocity itself, still kind of looking at some broad areas there of it, and again, when you have an area of inbound and outbound winds, when the greens and the reds are close to each other, that's when you can sometimes get those spin-ups. And so that's what we're looking at right now in terms of the reason why this warning keeps on going. Our hail sizes, get those kind of re-centered as well. right now some big-time hail, probably very close to the Bethany area right now. So that makes total sense. That's where the hail core and also the actual rain shaft of the big storm is itself. So make sure that you guys are away from windows in your safe spot, because not only the wind could be the issue, hail could be the issue as well. Jacob, you got something just yet?
Yeah, there we go. I wanted to bring up the circulation that we had earlier. This was the confirmed tornado that we spotted. My dad and Marty Nuss, Mayor Dan as Jack likes to call him, saw this tornado here near the Mechanicsburg area in Sangamon County. It was still more visible at this time. We're seeing more of the storm wrapped up, so we're not going to have a view like this, but I just wanted to show you that. This was earlier tonight. We've got Mark Maxwell. He's on his way to Dalton City to investigate, make sure things are safe there. I got to say, Jack, though, even though we've had these circulations rolling on through, we haven't had any damage reports that I've seen so far. I don't know about power outages, though. I think we had some lines down. Maybe we can check the power outage tracker as well with these storms. So again, this was that circulation. You saw it here just moments after it happened. You saw this only here on WCIA 3 with this particular video from the Mechanicsburg area. Quick tornado safety, again, for Moultrie County, this is applicable to you now. If you're in an apartment, you're in a mobile home, you're in a manufactured home, you got to take action at this point. We want people in site-built, well-built structures here. No cars, no mobile homes, no manufactured homes. If you're in a car driving, you're listening to us on the app, you're hearing those warnings in the streams or on a radio station, you got to pull over at this point and get into a better structure. The better thing to do, even though maybe there's some hail, get out of the car. Insurance will cover you. That's what it's for here. Large open rooms, manufactured homes, still a bad place to be. We want you in an interior room or a basement of a well-built building. We're talking to folks now here in Bethany and in Sullivan and Allentown and areas of Moultrie County. This does not include Arthur. This does not include, I think, Jack, it doesn't include Lovington either. If I check that map looking for placement.
No, Lovington was just outside of it.
Just outside of it. This is now looking like it's a Sullivan issue. We're all clear for Macon County, Lovington getting some rain, Cushman getting some rain, likely some hail in there too, so we're watching that closely. But we're really, I think, Sullivan, the next major city in line here. Tornado warning, Moultrie County, proceed to a safe place. Leave your mobile home, get out of a car, in, down, and up. Most interior room inside of your home, away from windows. Inside hallway, closet, an interior bathroom. No windows in that room. That's the best place to be. Get down as low as you can. A basement's best. You can still do just fine, though, if you're in a crawl space or as low as you can inside that interior room, using pillows, mattresses, things like that. If you're a kid watching us, you're just going to have a fort tonight, a little pillow fort, whatnot here. And you can keep us watching here. We'll just have some little fun tonight. A pillow fort sounds like fun. A little mattress and whatnot. Make the parents dig it all up and build that in the closet there. And then cover up as well. Bicycle helmets are great. They're helmets. They'll keep your head safe as far as it goes. We're going to give you the all clear. We've been doing that. Macon County, all clear. It's a Moultrie County issue, though, and I think Sullivan's next in line. I don't want to give Bethany an all clear yet. Of course, we're doing our coverage. You may be listening to us on TV. That's great, but your TV may not be next to your safe spot. You can either turn the volume up or you can join us on our digital apps. We're there streaming. We are streaming on Facebook, on Twitter via Periscope. We are streaming as well on the news and the weather app. So it's some things to note here for a tornado warning. You got to take action. That 30 to 45-minute window now is Coles County downstream. No warning yet. You'll start thinking about it, and if it continues, maybe Cumberland County. Cumberland County, last month, we had a little trial run here as well with this particular storm with a history of producing tornadoes, a number of them indeed. How do you get alerts here? First off, this is another thing we really have spent a lot of time talking about from our severe weather special. We'll revisit it tonight before Jack will give you some more time to analyze that storm. Well, of course, we're here on TV. We'll be here on TV with you. We'll get through these storms and stay with you as long as we need to. But again, live stream, the app, a laptop. I've got the laptop around the corner here in the green wall, running with our stream, making sure things are going good. You may have heard on your mobile device a loud noise and a note popped up that doesn't look like a text message from Granny saying, tornado warning in your area, check local media. That's wireless emergency alerts, and it keeps you informed. We love those, especially if you're at night. They wake you up. You can bet on that. You've probably been woken up by that before. I do have outdoor sirens here, but more than likely, the way this looks, the heavy rain, the wind, you may not hear that. Don't count on that to be a reliable source as much as you do these other ones here. And of course, the NOAA weather radio, the one in Shelbyville, has been working, keeping folks with NOAA weather radios in the areas we're seeing these alerts under the gun, keeping them informed. And of course, two sources for weather information. How are you going to hear it? The other thing we'd like to encourage, Jack, is folks, if you know someone down that way, send them a text. Say, hey, come watch Jack and Jacob on WCIA 3. They'll get you through the storm. Be aware there's some severe weather coming your way with this one. Of course, we're focused on that tornado warning, but we will continue to watch as well with the severe thunderstorm warnings. Still have a chance for some strong winds as far as it goes. Here's a check in Matt Toon, again, on that Casey Summers Flooring America iNet camera, and you can see the storm off in the distance. We'll keep an eye on this. At this point, Jack, I don't really think the camera is going to do us a lot of justice here. The radar driving it for us because we don't have a camera in Moultrie County, and I would love to have one there to keep folks safe and informed here as far as it goes. We just don't have that in that particular spot. So one day maybe we will. That's a dream, I think. But we'll use this Matt Toon camera. And as the sun goes down, Jack, I bet we're going to see a lot more of that lightning off in the distance.
Yeah, we got actually some video that we're going to show quickly here, and this is from the Sherman area as it was coming on through. This is I mean, that's a great looking shot as that came on through. This was just a little bit ago when it was in Sangamon County. That was a impressive looking.
That looks like a drone. They got a drone up, don't they?
Yeah, that's good right there. That's good. So that's.
You look how low that is. Wow.
That's, I was gonna say, it's very low right there at the bottom of your screen, and at any point that could have put a tornado on the ground if it didn't already at certain points. So that's what we're looking at from the Sherman area there. Scott, was that from the fire department? Look like? Yeah, it has had their logo there on the corner there. They're trained storm spotters, so they know what to look for. So we have a tornado or a severe thunderstorm warning for Christian and Shelby counties until 8:15. So that what they've done here is they have put a bigger warning out for these storms down here. And the reason for that one is this one down here, which would include spots that go all the way to Shelbyville, would be for large hail. So the wind speed is actually pretty weak, coming in at less than 50 miles an hour, which usually, if you're going to have strong winds, you're going to have strong hail, or vice versa. So it's actually pretty interesting to see it as less than 60 mile an hour winds and 1 3/4 inches hail. So that would be getting close to golf ball sized. So that's definitely going to be something to look out for. Our hail on, and right now, yep, so you got the core between Bethany and Sullivan with our tornado warned storm there, kind of right there along 121. But then you've got down to its southwest, south of Vanderbilt by the Winona area, the Nokomis area close to there. There is another area of large hail with that hail core there. And so that's why there's a new warning out for that storm. And that one goes until 8:15. So we're going to keep an eye on that one. In terms of our velocity, here is our tornado warned storm in Moultrie County. It still remains radar indicated. You could still have some of the areas of rotation there where the reds and the greens meet, kind of right there. So it is very close to 121. Might just be the center of circulation, maybe have just passed by the Bethany area. But still, though, any spot within Moultrie County and even down the line, want to make sure that you're in your safe spot because the chance for the storm to drop a tornado is possible. And also, too, our strong winds could be definitely able to cause damage as well. So we've got essentially two areas of concern here with our storms that kind of congeal up. Notice these warnings are now all pretty close to each other as well. And so we might be looking at a time now to where it might be becoming more of just a Boeing segment of our line of storms. Maybe it loses some of that tornado threat with it. Maybe it doesn't. Sometimes you can have our little circulations along the leading edge of it as storms kind of come on in. But that's where we're at right now. Severe thunderstorm warning until 8:15 for Christian and Shelby County. That's what we're looking at there. Moultrie County deputies reporting small amounts of hail, generally on the north end of the county. So that's coming in out of Moultrie County. And that makes sense with the hail size there, right around the Bethany area, Sullivan, Lovington, all kind of right around in that area. That would make sense that they're seeing that in the northern part of the county. But in terms of our storms itself, kind of moving now more off to our southeast, still going at around 35 miles an hour, but there may actually be kind of an acceleration there as this is kind of pushing out. Jacob's got some of our local storm reports that he's got, and I believe that this storm this is now in its probably its 7th tornado warning of the evening, besides counting kind of trimmings and things like that. This might be its maybe 7th or maybe even 8th unique tornado warning with it.
Yeah, something like that. You know, we're watching that storm carry on through right now, and let's look back on what it's done here for as far as some of the storm reports. You mentioned some of the hail coming out of Moultrie County, small hail in general in the northern half of the county. There was some hail reported in Decatur, and as well as that storm down by south of Taylorville. I believe that's going to be, let's see, Stonington's to the north and east, south and west of Taylorville, Hillsboro, Litchfield, kind of in between there, and some quarter to golf balls earlier with that. But you see this initial storm, really well forecasted event, I'd say, Jack, here, formed in western Illinois, crossed the river and dropped, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tornado reports. And then we haven't heard anything damage related in Macon County. And Jack, if you can check power outages and let me know if there's anything there. Maybe the wind is starting to come through, but usually we'll get those a little later. So that doesn't mean we're not getting damage. It just means the reports haven't come on in as it goes. So we'll watch it here, but those storms now are sitting there. As far as it goes. Now, downstream from this tornado warning, at this point now, that's Coles County. You're not under a tornado warning now. You are under a severe thunderstorm warning, and that's going to include Mattoon. It's going to include areas to the north. It even includes the far south and southwestern part of Douglas County near Arcola and areas south from Arthur south as well. That's the severe thunderstorm warning. If there's a new tornado warning issued, the next one in line is going to be Mattoon, perhaps Neoga, perhaps areas south of Mattoon, Lakeland College. You get to Cooks Mill, north and west of town, Lake Mattoon, down that way. We're going to talk to you real quick. If you're downstream, you live in a mobile, you got some time to get out, even with its straight line winds, and go somewhere better. Just be prepared to seek shelter. You're watching us now here or on our digital platforms. Charge your phone, have it plugged in. Arrange your safe place. You know, if you've got some groceries from last week or some clothes sitting there you've been sorting or whatnot, use that time to clear out that safe place now. Got a flashlight? Jack, I don't know if you heard any wind or power outage reports.
Yeah, I've got the only county that's got any reports out is Menard County with 269 out of them. So it's actually not that many reports of outages there. It's 269 unique customers that are without power in Menard County. Everywhere else in the viewing area that has seen these severe thunderstorm warnings as well as tornado warnings is actually all good.
It's good to hear as far as it goes.
Cass County has just one outage. So the power outage is really not much of them, which is good.
So that's a good sign here. That means maybe that the power infrastructure not taking damage. But what it may mean still is that there could be some moving forth now, and maybe some of those reports trickle on in. So still, have a flashlight. Smart thing to do here, especially as we're starting to see the sun set. The time now 7:40. Jack, we've been with folks for almost 3 hours now here.
I know. This is
starting to get a little dark.
Yeah,
it's been a long time, been a long night, but we're here keeping you safe as far as it goes. So flashlight downstream. Check your weather app. Great thing to have. Make sure you've got it downloaded. You'll get an alert in the snap of your finger as soon as that warning's issued. So we're speaking to folks downstream from that here. I do want to time this out for what's next and what's coming, and we'll talk about what we're seeing here. Here's that line again. The one tornado warning, Moultrie County. There's severe thunderstorm warnings, though, for hail and wind all the way down from Carlinville down there and in Hillsboro. As we go up towards the Pana area, here's Strasburg, Stewartson. You got Shelbyville tucked in there. Lake Shelbyville right here. Sullivan, Allenville, Mattoon, Charleston. This line is moving off to the south and to the east there as far as it goes. And I do want, real quick, Jack, I'm going to show the future track. First off, this is what it says is supposed to be happening right now. There should be, according to Future Track, storms a little more north of 72. We're not seeing that. That's good. We like that. But we're still seeing some of these more isolated storms in nature. And our timing is a little bit, we're a little fast today, which means that maybe the severe threat's going to end a little earlier tonight, Jack. That'd be great. We can get out of here on time tonight before all is said and done. So watch what happens. Again, this isn't happening right here. It's these kind of down in here we're watching. As we go to 9 o'clock, then, you know, we're going to have to subtract maybe 30 minutes to an hour off of that here. Mattoon, Charleston, down to Toledo, Greenup, Neoga, down towards Shelbyville, and continuing down towards Vandalia, Effingham. This isn't happening, so it probably isn't going to pop up. So more than likely tonight, you're watching in Champaign-Urbana, you're watching in Danville. We're just inconveniencing you, keeping you off of the show tonight you want to watch. And then as we go to 10 o'clock, it pushes more to the south and east, south of 70. Again, that's probably not going to be there. This, though, we're just looking at her timing as far as it goes. By 10:30, we're looking like we're clear here in parts of central Illinois. Checking into the forecast for tomorrow, kind of talking downstream real quick. Tomorrow morning by 8 a.m., In fact, from tonight, midnight to 8 a.m., southern Illinois, Mount Vernon, down towards Salem, down towards Marion, Harrisburg, Paducah. Those areas are going to have a big windstorm come on through more than likely tonight. We're north of that. The front should sweep through, but still, some of these areas from Vandalia, Shelby County, Moultrie County, Coles, over towards Clark County may get some heavier rain and some thunder tomorrow. Not severe. We think once we're done tonight, we're done for the day here as far as it goes. So we're going to get this line of storms here with that nice view there from Matt Toon, the KC Summers camera. In fact, catching a little bit of that lightning, Jack. In fact, if I look here, this camera, unfortunately, we can't turn, but look here on the right side of your screen.
Yep, there's your shelf.
There's your shelf cloud leaning on through here. That's a sign that the wind really picking up, but still behind it, you see that vertical motion or vertical look to it, and then it's spoofing out ahead of here, I suppose you could say, that updraft pushing off. So we're looking off to the west. This is a north-south. I've never used the green screen this way. This road right here, north-south, this one is an east-west road as far as it goes. And so we're looking off to the west with a little more north there. Those storms are going to sweep on through. So Mattoon, Charleston, probably going to see some wind come on through from this and even points to the south. And we'll stay with you on digital through the night. As far as it goes, Jack, that tornado warning, I think the timing on it
is we've got a minute left on it.
A minute left on that there.
So
we'll kind of look at it, and then I think Jack will play that same game we did when it was issued.
Yep.
We'll stay here to make sure a new one doesn't pop for a little while longer. And if it looks like it's more of a wind threat, we'll let you watch your program. We may just stay till 8 o'clock, you know, not ruin I don't even know what show's on right now, but from 7:45 to 8, we may just stay here just to make sure and use that as our hard out if there's no new warning. So, Jack, real quick, check on that warning, check what you're seeing. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, so we've got our velocity up right now, and with the velocity, I don't know, I'm just not seeing as much, especially of our bright green winds. We've got some pretty bright red winds here, and what that means is that maybe it's all going one direction. We're maybe not seeing so much of that rotation anymore with winds coming in the opposite direction. So we might not be getting a lot of that rotation anymore. We might just be getting it going all in one direction. So we'll have to kind of wait and see how that goes. So 7:45 now, we have now lost that tornado warning. So for the time being here, we do not have it, so we're going to keep an eye on things here to make sure that they don't issue another one. We have more in the way of severe thunderstorm warned storms down to the south. You'll also notice, too, that all of these storms that we have currently, that are currently warned, those are all of the yellow variety, which means that they are all just standard thunderstorm warnings. Now, some of these do have some strong winds with them. We've got or some large hail with them. Bond, Macoupin, Montgomery County, that one's now changed to just a 1-inch in diameter hailstone with 60-mile-per-hour winds. This middle one here, this one's still kind of the one that they've had an eye on with the larger hail size. That one's for Christian, Shelby counties, goes until 8:15. That one's got the 2-inch in diameter hail. That's one of the biggest hail sizes that we've seen so far of the night. And then the tornado warned storm that we've been watching now, which is just underneath a severe thunderstorm warning, has 60-mile-an-hour winds as well as ping-pong-sized hail with that one. So as of right now, we are still a few minutes out of 7:45. There has been no new warning issued in terms of any tornado warnings. But besides that, we're just going to kind of play the waiting game here for a few moments here. I know we've been on for a long time, but we want to make sure that if there are any new tornado warnings that do pop in, we're already here and we don't have to pop back in again. So some good news here. They have not issued anything just yet. I'm still kind of watching the National Weather Service chat that we've got access to, and they're not really saying anything right now, which is sometimes it's a good thing. But we're going to keep just on here a few more minutes longer just to make sure that nothing else comes from it. If it would be, right now I would say that our primary issue with these storms is going to be more of that, more of the hail threat now. That seems to be kind of a big issue with these storms is the hail threat. So I'm just kind of recycling here some of my views to make sure that I can get back to them and jump back to them pretty fast. The storms that we have right now, Sullivan right now is the one that's got some of the larger hail, and at this point now it's pretty small. That was the one that had the tornado warning with it that now does not have it. We've got nearby the Nokomis Audubon area. There is actually a very small little hail core there, but it's producing some bigger sized hail, and that is in the far portion of Montgomery County. And then there are also some little hail spots down into Macoupin County as well. But as of right now, we are still just looking at right now just some severe thunderstorm warnings currently with it. Jacob, got some more stuff here to show?
Yeah, I just want to take a regional view here of those alerts and whatnot. We've got that severe thunderstorm watch until 9 o'clock. That's in place. These yellow polygons are severe thunderstorm warnings. Again, they're irregularly shaped because we don't issue warnings based on counties. We issue it based on area now. That's one of the great things we can do. So it's far southwestern Douglas, northwestern Coles, much of Moultrie and northern Shelby with a severe thunderstorm warning. That's over Sullivan, pushing to the south and east towards Mattoon eventually. We've got another one, southeastern Christian and Shelby County. That's going to include areas heading to the east from Pana, eventually making its way towards Lake Shelbyville, Windsor, and maybe eventually Strasburg, Stewardson. We'll have to watch that. Then we've got Macoupin and Montgomery County right there that we're keeping an eye on. And one thing, just so you know, Jack, just so we're aware, I can't get the chat anymore. I've lost it, so you'll have to kind of watch, and you can ask them if you want. Say, hey, what are your thoughts and whatnot? And maybe you've done that, and we'll get an answer here and be done with this in 11 minutes. That'd be really nice if we can wrap up an hour early and kind of relax for the rest of the night, at least for tornado concern. But still, with these storms, big hail, we got some of those $50, and one storm was 2-inch hail. That's the size of a hen egg. And you don't know what that size is. Get an egg out of the fridge and whatnot as far as it goes. So Macoupin, Montgomery, Christian, Shelby, Moultrie, Coles, Douglas County, still severe thunderstorm warnings. I think we can say all clear for Macon County at this point. The storms have pushed out. There still is the watch in place. We're going to keep it for Champaign and Vermilion for a little while longer, but we've dropped it. DeWitt, Logan, Menard, Menard, Sangamon, Morgan, and Cass counties no longer under that severe thunderstorm watch, and hopefully by the time we get to 9 o'clock, that is, we won't have to extend it. There's no watch for Clark or Cumberland or Effingham or Jasper or Crawford. And what may be happening as we lose the heating of the day is that we may very well be losing some instability as far as it goes here. And so that's something that we're going to watch and see. Maybe that plays in our favor as far as it goes. Jack, before I send it to you, and I have a feeling that Lauren's going to talk to you in a second, maybe, let's just kind of switch over and I'll take a look at the radar scope in my phone and kind of scope out some of these areas and whatnot. Another way we can look at it, and you can get this app yourself, Radarscope. It's a great app to have. We've got that severe thunderstorm warning. I'm looking now for circulations, those greens and reds to come together. There's a weak one, maybe not worth the warning. Maybe Allenville, somewhere in here. Something's, lightly spinning as far as it goes.
What they did is they've now modified the warning polygon, and so it's Coles, Douglas, Moultrie, Shelby, but there's now a tornado tag possible with it. So that's the warning that we've been watching. So it's definitely more elongated. In fact, if we could maybe take this full screen, it might be a little bit easier to see. But this is the new warning that has the new trimmed warning, essentially what's happened here. And so now it's got the tornado possible tag on it. So it's still not looking that good with our velocity, but it's maybe something a little bit there, like Jacob's trying to pick up on. It also might be too just to be safe. They may have issued it this way just to be safe. So that's what just wanted to bug in and let you know about that.
No, I'm glad you did. Again, the tornado possible tag, it's a relatively new thing in the last number of years that the National Weather Service can do. Instead of issuing a tornado warning, they issue a severe thunderstorm warning. And what they do is they put this possible tag on there, and that's to signify that they're monitoring it. A tornado is not immediately likely, but it may very well be possible still moving forth. So it's kind of the initial step before a tornado warning. It's a really great thing they've added here. Again, that is for this circulation in Moultrie County. It's broad. It doesn't look all that good. Lovington, we're giving you an all clear. Dalton City, all clear. Bethany, we'll give you an all clear. There's still some rain and wind probably, but as the severe part of the storm seems to be Sullivan down to Allenville, north of Windsor, the north side of Lake Shelbyville. Here's Gaze. They got the two-story outhouse down there. We got Mattoon, Humboldt, Arcola. The wind coming on that way as far as it goes. I do want to show a little bit more to the south because we're going to watch for Pana, Tower Hill, Shelbyville now. We haven't really talked much about you. We get a chance to now that we're just dealing with severe thunderstorm warnings. This here from Shelbyville, we're kind of seeing some wind. I don't really see much in the way of circulation. There's nothing tight coming together. The other thing we're fighting is that we're getting further and further away from the radar in Lincoln. Still a great view, but not as good as it was in Macon and Sangamon counties. But what I do note here is you kind of see some of these light shades. Maybe there's weak circulation aloft there, and that may be enough to help with some hail support as far as it goes. You know, you get a little circulation. You don't always have to talk tornadoes, but sometimes that rotation aloft can help with hail. And I think that, Jack, I think that had the 2-inch hail size with that one. So we'll just kind of watch and see with this particular product. And then, of course, down into Montgomery, Macoupin County, quick mention, Litchfield South, that severe thunderstorm warning. Our friends in St. Louis handling that. I'll do one last check here in the Radarscope. And again, it looks more linear, but there's still some noticeable clusters here that we have to watch and a little more isolated. And as I look at this, Jack, I kind of get the idea that while we're watching this here, yeah, there's some hail, but I get the idea that it's kind of separating itself.
Yeah, and there still might be some kind of notchiness to them, too.
A little bit. There's your inflow notch, maybe, so we may not be done yet, and that may preclude us from getting out of here at 8 o'clock. I don't know what's on TV, and if this is looking like it's going to ramp up again, given the tornadoes we have, I don't know if I really care that much. We're going to be with folks at this severe weather as far as it goes, so we're going to watch that. We got about 6 more minutes, Jack, to watch and to keep an eye on it here. Of course, still, there's probably some hail right there north and west of Mattoon. I think in that, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Cook Mills up that way? Is that?
Yeah, we got, we're going to go to Mark Maxwell here. He's in Sullivan. He's got a just fantastic shot going on. If you guys want to send it to Mark, he may not be able to hear me very well with the heavy rain and the thunder and lightning. But Mark, if you can hear me, thanks for being a trooper for going out there, and take it away.
Yeah, Jack, we're here on Highway 121, about smack dab between Bethany and Sullivan. Just as Jacob was defining a moment ago, it doesn't appear that, well, we are seeing some strong heavy winds, rain, that is, as well. I also want to share, if you can spot this, if you can make it out in this picture, I want to show you just the sunset as the last bit of color is coming behind us here. It is a beautiful look, but we've been tracking some of these different storms in very low-hanging clouds all the way through here along this road coming south of Decatur as we tried to follow this. We saw that sort of auburn or burnt color that kind of was on the underbelly of these clouds hovering all the way through here. It was a strange color in the sky throughout part of that. I'm not exactly sure what that might tell us, but we're seeing that along the way here. Some thunderstorms, a lot of lightning just sort of crackling through the sky here at this scene as the thunderstorms continue. But again, we were sort of heading southeast through Moultrie County, and this is what we've come across here. I wanted to give you a look at the highway. Some cars are pulled over under bridges and overpasses trying to take shelter. A few emergency vehicles out along the road, but only a very scarce few signs of some shingles blown off with some heavy winds, but nothing major to report that we've been able to see from our vantage point. But Jacob and Jack, wanted to send it back to you just to give you an idea what it looks like rather here from the ground level.
We'll double box, Jack and I.
Thank you very much for that report, Mark. Really appreciate it, and stay safe out there as you were just in an area that did have a tornado warning. So just be safe, but you're in a good spot now. Most of the activity is now past you. Doing a good job. So thank you for that. We still do have, for the next 4 minutes, a severe thunderstorm warning that still has that tornado possible tag with it that's now going into the area. In fact, what we should do is we should take our view from our Skycam. Our Flooring America camera from Casey Summers looks amazing with our with that shelf cloud coming on through. I wouldn't mind you guys even taking it full screen. Looks good. And you've got the nice well-defined shelf cloud. You've got the striations within the cloud there. It definitely gives it that UFO appearance. You've got the lightning strikes in the background. So that's a very good-looking shot as that's coming into the Mattoon area there. We still do have just, and the reason why there's probably a tornado possible tag with it is that there is still a little notch with this severe thunderstorm warning. The hail is also there as well. But that still is going to be the one to watch here. Again, also don't want to forget, too, we've got Christian and Shelby counties. They have a 60-mile-per-hour wind as well as 2-inch in diameter severe thunderstorm warning down there until 8:15. And then until 8:30, Bond, Macoupin, and Montgomery counties. So Macoupin and Montgomery in our viewing area for 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as 1-inch in diameter hail. But that is a great-looking view. This is a camera that we can't move, so this is going to be it. But totally fine. It looks very good there. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning for Clark, Coles, and Edgar County that goes until 9 o'clock for 60-mile-per-hour winds, 1-inch in diameter hail size, and there's also still the tornado possible threat there. So maybe what we're going to do here is we're going to stand it for a little bit longer because sometimes with storms like these, we can still get, especially with the setup that it's had. But what we might end up doing is after a little bit, we might actually come back and forth in and out of coverage to potentially to provide any quick updates here. Because I know there's no tornado warning right now, but with the tornado possible threat within a severe thunderstorm warned storm that has had a history of producing tornadoes, it still could potentially do that. But just give us a few more minutes to kind of work on that idea. In the meantime, though, we'll bring it back to the dual box here with the Skycam. And again, just you can see that just amazing view of that storm as it's coming into the Mattoon area there as it's approaching 57. You're going to have some heavy rain with this storm. You're going to have some strong winds with it too. I'm going to turn the lightning on. Just a ton of lightning with these storms as well. And so we're really noticing, actually, yeah, lightning strikes have actually kind of come down a little bit more. But you can see with the loop there, and it actually kind of makes it almost easier to see with the lightning strikes. It's kind of been moving more off to our southeast. It's kind of been turning more and more to the right. But just a great looking shot there of our Casey Somewhere's Flooring America iNet camera as it does approach in. You've got on the bottom of it, we've got the striations there of the shelf cloud. And so I think what we'll do here is, and Jacob, you can back me up on this one. Maybe we terminate on TV for a little bit and see kind of what happens.
We'll do that here. I know folks are, you know, the danger is not as high as it was earlier tonight, but what we should do, Jack, is maybe let's just talk about where this storm's heading real quick.
Yep.
And then we'll jump out of TV and give folks a chance to get their apps and get their social media online and do that way. So I'll go ahead and just kind of jump on the green wall here and use that to kind of show who's in, who's out, because the Sullivan County side of things no longer an issue here. We're watching this storm right here. This is velocity, and I think maybe, Jack, if you're driving it for me here, we'll kind of zoom out. This is still that red outline is a tornado possible tag. That's the one storm. There's another storm here in Shelby County. It doesn't really look as good as it did earlier to me either. Maybe we're losing some instability as far as things go. They still got it warned for 2-inch hail, though, but I'd like to suggest that maybe what's happened is either the storm, if it's weakening, all that hail aloft just dumps out somewhere as it weakens. And then, of course, this storm here in Montgomery County, that's going to be our friends in St. Louis that are handling that. They'll handle it for Fayette County, too, but if it turns into an Effingham problem, of course, we're going to be on digital as far as it goes. So, Jack, real quick, let's talk about who's in, who's out. Right here's Mattoon. There's downtown Mattoon. Here's Sarah Bush Medical Center. There's Charleston. You got the Coles County Airport right here. Down here, you've got Lakeland College. There's the windmill and the interstate as you drive on by. There's Neoga. Up here is Humboldt. This is going to include Humboldt, Mattoon, Charleston. It's going to include the 4-lane that goes by the airport to Charleston. Eventually downstream then, Martinsville and Paris are in the path of that. That'll be northern Clark and southern Edgar counties with that warning there. So you see Paris, this might pass to your south there. I think that's Route 1. Route 1 kind of comes in here, and 150 shots off towards Terre Haute. May come there by 9 o'clock or so, but in particular, yes, this storm will be coming into Mattoon. Yes, it will be coming into Charleston, still with a threat for some quarter hail, but more than likely the wind is what I'm more interested in here. We'll watch this. It's not overly strong. It doesn't look like anything as it did before. And up by Cook's Mills, coming into the west side of Mattoon, moving off to the east there. It's just a severe thunderstorm warning as far as it goes with the tornado possible tag. So I think at this point, we're staying with you on digital, Mattoon and Charleston. By this point, jump on over to the app, live stream on Facebook, on Twitter. We're going to stay with this and use production to kind of help us with this online, and then we'll kind of organize some TV cut-ins the way it looks here, and that way we can keep an eye on it. But we're going to watch that camera as well, and you probably have a good view of it out your window to the west there in Mattoon, even in Charleston, parts of central Coles County, eventually off to the east. The lightning's going to be impressive. You do not want to be outdoors with this as far as it goes, and so that's what we'll do. So again, it's 8:02 right now. We're getting ready to kind of walk away. Ooh, look at that, Jack. That's impressive.
Yeah, it looks
what
good.
You're looking at is the shelf cloud here, but then you see this rounded off area carrying up. I mean, it almost looks like a spaceship coming in to Mattoon. The lightning really impressive with there. Off in the distance, that wind. That's quite the shot there, Jack, isn't it?
It sure is. It sure is. So we've got 8:02 right now. I think we've done what we need to do for us on CBS. Oh, we did.
How about that? That's why we stay, folks.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Mattoon, Charleston, this is for you. Tornado warning now, Coles County. You got the notice in your WCIA 3 weather app right now for this storm right here. We're looking at it. So tornado warning now for the city of Mattoon, the city of Charleston. If you've got someone in Eastern Illinois University, you got a student there, I don't know, they may be on break. I'm not a college student anymore. I haven't been one for a while, but that area is under that warning as far as it goes. And so, Jack, we're gonna keep this camera shot up here, and we're gonna let you talk a little bit more about where it's going, where the path is with that double box we got there. So, Jack, talk about who's in, who's out, where this is heading.
Yep. So we've got again Coles County for this tornado warning. It goes until 8:30. So you've got unfortunately stick with us for another 27 minutes, but we've got. You know, it does look pretty good now with our velocity. Things kind of spun back up around here. And so you've got your bright reds mixing with some green right by it. And as we kind of like loop it around a little bit, it definitely got a little bit tighter as it came in there. So that's going to be the reason why we have a new tornado warning for this. And it's going through another major area within our viewing area. We've had Springfield under the gun for tornado warning. We have Decatur under the gun for tornado warning. And now we have Charleston-Mattoon area under the gun as well. So this has gone through a number of our bigger cities in our viewing area. And luckily, we've had the opportunity to be able to look at these on our weather cameras, our Flooring America INET clutch today. We've got some pretty bright lightning there, Jacob, that just popped up there. And
at this point, Jack, I think we're going to watch if there's something down. This camera angle is going to give us a fantastic shot if there's any blue flashes. We'd be looking for power flashes as well. Mattoon, you got to get to shelter right now. To the north, they got that new exit a couple of years back where the that's tightening up there, Jack. That exit where the industrial park is north of Mattoon up towards Humboldt. You got to get into shelter. Charleston, you got to get to shelter right now. Areas from Mattoon, Charleston, Sarah Bush Medical Center. If you're there, we've got to get you to your shelter place. They'll be taking their protocols to protect patients, the nurses, the staff, and the doctors there. The airport is under this, but Mattoon, you're out of time as this coming in your direction, Jack. So I'm going to get a push alert, check with some sources, and then we'll let you do a little more coverage, and then we'll keep watching the storm as it moves on through.
Yep, so we've got bring it back to me. We've got 8:09 for Lafayette for a track on here. Charleston 8:22, Ashmore 8:38, Kansas at 8:46, and Martinsville 8:56, just based on where I've put our track there. So that's going to be some of the areas that are going to be impacted by this storm as it comes on through. The Mattoon area, I didn't label that one, but obviously it's there because the storm itself is, as you can see on our camera, also right there as well. We've got more in the way of some raindrops hitting the lens too. The rain is now picking up there. I've not seen any power flashes. I've seen lightning strikes. But that storm is now, as you can see, kind of overtaking our camera. We don't have as much in the way of the high contrast blue skies behind it. That camera is becoming darker and darker as that storm comes on through. You're going to have some heavy rain with this one. Hail size, too, also going to be coming in right into town as well. And just looking at our weather camera there, it's Casey Summers. It's a dealership. Hail and cars do not go well together. I know that firsthand. So we just need to make sure that you're away from windows as well as this comes on through. And it's still moving to the east at around 30 miles an hour. So it's, once again, not a very fast-moving storm. None of these storms have been fast movers. But it's got enough rotation in there that picked back up to have issued a new warning with it. So that's why we're watching it through there. Still just a few lightning strikes. Not seeing anything in the way of a blue color just yet. But the lights are still on there in the city. Got another cloud-to-ground lightning strike there that just happened on the side of the screen there. So Mattoon, Charleston, locations within and around the Coles County area, getting closer to even Ashmore, be in your safe spot. We've got the tornado warning still continuing until 8:30 right now. Jacob, you got anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to update again. The new update just came out. This, hey, golf ball size hail. You mentioned that, Jack, where we saw that hail here as far as it goes. That's that circulation, that red color moving away from radar. The winds, likely some rear flank downdraft winds also coming to Mattoon. Strong winds are going to be likely here. As we look, though, at this particular storm in Coles County, this is mainly Cook's Mill, to the south towards Mattoon. If you're in Mattoon, Cooks Mill, Humboldt, you got to be in shelter now. Mattoon in particular, a little worried about that here. And I'm just pulling up some other data here while I'm watching that, Jack. So hang on one second. I do that here. The other warnings, real quick, while we're down there, we've just got severe thunderstorm warnings for Shelby County and severe thunderstorm warnings for Montgomery County. That is not as much of a concern for us right now here. In fact, I think for the most part, the Shelby County storm, look how it really weakened right there. Probably not going to be an issue for Shelbyville. They've got some rain and storms there now. They're going to keep it out of abundance caution. Montgomery County, you're watching St. Louis's now. We're here for Coles County, and we're staying with you as far as it goes. So let's zoom in here, Jack, and get real close in and break it down for where this circulation is. What we're looking at is this is the core of the storm right here. Here's Dorrance. There's that industrial park right up here. You get off at the new exit they built a few years ago. You can take the industrial spur or expressway, whatever. You're in that area. You know what I'm talking about. To get to a lot of those factories and facilities on 45. Here's Highway 45. There's 121. Takes you off to the north and west back towards Sullivan. There's Highway 16. Takes you down to Shelbyville. Here's Highway 16 then to Charleston. We've got Loxa. We've got Charleston there. 130 goes north. That takes you up to the north. Eventually you get into Champaign with that. The hail, big time, right here over the northern part of Mattoon and north of the airport. There's the airport. There's the medical center. If this tornado is down, it's very much going to be right over darn close to Mattoon and the exit there. You know, they got you get off there, there's like a hotel and a Steak and Shake and some other things like that. Very much heading in that general direction as far as it goes. Lakeland College sits right down here. There's some apartments there, might be some students. The good news is Lakeland College not included in the warning. It will stay to the north. You got a heck of a view, though, if you're looking off to the north there. If you're in the city of Mattoon, though, we want you in shelter. We want you in shelter in Charleston. Humboldt, give us a little more time here. Even at Cooks Mill is a little more time because that circulation, Jack, a little more concerning here as far as it goes. These storms pulsing up and down. Going a little weaker, going a little stronger as far as it goes here. And if we really look on in here, to the region, really that storm is going to be darn close to that exit north of town, coming into the north and east side of town. Hopefully, if there's anything down, it's just north of town, but it's too close for comfort for the city of Mattoon. We're with you here. We're following this for you. You're going to get some strong winds and heavy rain. If we can bring that camera up full screen real quick as well, just to see it real fast. I want to take another view. I don't need to be in front of it. I just want to show you how the clouds have moved overhead. There's going to be some lightning. There you go. There's some lightning off in the distance there. We're not going to get to see much, if anything. At this point, the sky winning out, the sun going down. So it's going to be hard to really tell if there's anything there specifically tornado related. One of the things we may get a report is if there's some power flashes or things like that, we'll be able to find out. But we're losing the advantage of daylight with this particular storm here as far as it goes. So we're watching it closely. We're keeping you updated on that. Just one warning. For Coles County, and Jack, as I check another source here, I really think that hail threat, it may miss Mattoon. We can bring me back here. It may miss Mattoon, but it's going to come for Charleston if it does anything with that hail across the region as it does so. So we're going to watch it closely, and Jack, you've got another update on that hail. Yep. And we're going to keep an eye on it here. There's one storm. It's too close for comfort for Mattoon, the tornado, but the hail might be another big story for this too.
Just off to the north of town there, just to the north of Mattoon is where we have that hail core, and so it might just miss town to the north, but the direction it's going towards might be heading towards Loxa as well as Charleston. So right there along 16, north of 16 is where we're going to have this storm getting very close there as it goes in towards the Charleston area, and maybe we'll see what our first mid-weather camera looks like. Jacob, if you want to try to bring that one up and see the Charleston camera, that one might be a little bit different looking, but still a great shot from Mattoon as that one is now approaching and is basically over the city right now. We're going to try to change our camera up to see if it looks any different. Just dark, and we've got some lightning strikes obviously, but
Jack, do you have the chat up by chance?
I do, yeah.
It's back. I just heard that noise.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was anything.
It's just a continuous severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible for Clark, Coles, Edgar counties until 9 o'clock.
Okay, what I'm going to do, Jack, is I'm gonna put the Mattoon camera on the weather metrics of the Skycam so Back can have it, but I'll put the Charleston camera on your computer there so you can access that. We'll do that and keep watching this very closely.
Yep. So we've got still a larger severe thunderstorm watch around it. That was what just kind of beeped there. If you could hear, goes until 9 o'clock. Clark, Coles, Edgar counties until 9 o'clock for 60-mile-per-hour winds, and as well as golf ball size hail, so 1.5 inches. Tornado possible with these, and we'll still put that coming in at around 30 miles an hour because that's been the overall speed of these so far. And cities that would be impacted by this warning would be Lafayette at 8:13, Charleston potentially 8:28, Hutton at 8:39, Ashmore at 8:44, and then 9:01 in Martinsville. Just keep an eye on things here as we go down the line with these storms, as it still continues to move off to the east at around 30 miles an hour, 30, 35, kind of somewhere in there. The reflectivity has been showing that we've got maybe a little bit of the inflow notch here still, trying to show up a bit. Our velocity, it's still showing there. It's not as intense as what it was a few scans ago, so we might be kind of losing it a little bit there. But still, nonetheless, though, a storm capable of producing a tornado, it's still the same cell. It's still the same cell that's produced all these warnings over the course of the afternoon and now going into 8:15.
It's been a long night.
It's been a long night. It's been a long night. We do expect these storms to move off more to the southeast direction, we're thinking, the east-southeast direction. So it would be definitely south of Arcola and locations like that. So this is definitely going to be more of a Coles, Edgar, Clark issue from here on out. And hopefully it continues to weaken. That latest scan did show a little bit of some weakening there with it. We still do have our warnings for severe thunderstorms back off to the southwest. We actually have another just minute left over of this Christian and Shelby County one that was for 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as 2-inch hail. That one's gone. And now we have until 8:30 this one here for Montgomery County in the southern part of the county there for 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as 1.5 inches hail. So, Jacob, we've got some more updates there, just kind of the wide view with our watches and our warnings on it. What do you have for us?
Yeah, we're watching this one storm, the one tornado warning in Coles County. It's been the storm of the day. We thought we'd get one, and here it is. And thankfully, we've only had to deal with one. But it's been all the way from Cass County through Menard, Sangamon County, came here west of Decatur, and then turned to the right. And sometimes when they do that, that means they're not done. And that's why we've got this tornado warning for Coles County. Next in line, Clark and Edgar County. And we may just have to follow this all the way out of the area. Now, notice, Jack, they did extend the severe thunderstorm watch for Clark, Cumberland, Effingham, Jasper, and Crawford County here. And that's mainly because we're thinking the instability just high enough to keep it a little bit more for us in the area. Coles County, specifically now, Charleston, we're talking to you. You got to be in your safe place. You got to be in, down, and up. Basement, interior hallway, closet, interior bathroom. Leave your mobile home. You got to be out of that. Can't be in there. If you're driving now, not the place to be. We've seen folks driving on our camera network out there. Go to a sturdy structure, get in, get down, cover up, and stay until all clear. We'll give you that, and we're soon going to give the all clear to Matt Toon, but we're going to wait a little bit. You're probably watching on TV. Turn that TV up, but you can also join us on the digital apps as far as things go, and that's the way that we're going to do things here. Jack, I'm going to do a little analysis here while you're kind of figuring some things out, it seems like, in the back.
Have come in.
Say it again?
We got some pictures that have come in from the Dorrans area, which is going to be pretty close to some of the warnings that we've had earlier. This is from Abby, and this was from in the Dorrans area. You've got the low-hanging clouds, and if I believe, I'm just going to stand a little closer to the images to see.
You know that shot, it looks a little more, you kind of see in the left side more of the updraft, and the right side a little more of, I mean, that's a impressive looking storm.
Yeah, that's the potentially its new wall cloud. And then this is from the north of Dorrans, also from Abby there. A great looking shot, kind of more of a wider shot where you can see more of the top of the clouds there, the nice striations within the circulating storm there, and the shelf cloud down at the bottom. Beautiful picture. We love getting these pictures in. It helps to portray what we're saying on TV. And again, we're still going to be on this storm here for the next, at the very minimum, 13 minutes. As it goes through Coles County. Charleston now coming in under the gun with this storm as it comes on through. There's been more and more lightning strikes on our first mid-weather camera on our Flooring America iNet. So definitely want to be in your safe spot if you live there. And in Mattoon, still be there as well. Your threats are kind of diminishing as this storm moves off to the east, but we're not done just yet to say that just yet.
Yeah, and we'll keep that camera full for just a little bit here, Jack, before I do a little more analysis in the radar. You kind of look in the lightning off in the distance there. You can see some of those rain curtains coming on in. I really think Charleston, even if maybe there's not a tornado now, you're about to get some hail. So that's something where this storm may be doing a little more of that and a little less of a circulation. But still, we can't rule it out. We're pulsing it up and down a little bit as far as it goes. So we'll go ahead and bring me full screen, and then in a little bit, once we talk more, we can double box and keep that camera up, because, Jack, I think we're going to see kind of an impressive shot there as this comes on in. Here's your hail core. This is the highway from Mattoon to Charleston. It carries you on in. Lots of folks get off at I-57. They go to the east. They pass the Coles County Airport. They pass Sarah Bush Medical Center. They come into Charleston for EIU. Some big hail probably coming there into Charleston based on what we're seeing here. If there's a circulation, it's going to be darn close to over town here. Charleston, you're out of time. Mattoon, I want to say, as far as the tornado goes, we'll give you an all clear, but you're not done with the rain and storms for the night here. Pretty much it seems like along and west of I-57 in Coles County, Humboldt, Mattoon, Cooks Mills, still rain. Still maybe some hail, but this particular storm, the tornado threat, now more off to the east there as it goes. And so really we're watching on Charleston's doorstep here. You carry that off to the east a little bit more. You get past Charleston, you go by Charleston High School on the east side there. You come to Ashmore this way. You can go to Hutton that way. You come towards Casey. There it is at the bottom of the screen. And we'll keep that eye on things as far as it goes. Now, as far as the circulation goes, it may be not quite as impressive. And we can go ahead and double box here, because I think we're about to see a more impressive shot before all is said and done. I can talk about it a little bit. That circulation maybe not as tight over Charleston, but still, with a tornado warning, we want you to shelter. If anything, I'd like to think that the circulation itself may be a little more back to the west of Charleston. I mean, it's somewhere in here. It's not as obvious, and that's okay. We don't have to have it be obvious to know that there still is some spin, but likely still enough rotation where Charleston, we want you in your shelter. We want you in that safe place. Mattoon, Humboldt, over towards the north and west. I want to say we can give you the all clear as far as that goes. Now, I will say, Jack, and in a minute, I haven't gotten it on my phone yet. Sometimes the data comes in a little slower. There is a new severe thunderstorm warning that includes parts of Shelby County that's going to pop in. And correct me if I'm wrong, there may be a tornado possible tag on that.
It will, yeah. We're waiting for a picture of from Charleston here, so we're going to get the all clear here in just a few minutes, or not the all clear, but show you this picture that we're going to get here just a few minutes. But so here it's coming up. This is the view from our picture that was sent in to us from Charleston. And just wait just a moment here, and we'll get it up. But it does show a potential tornado, and here it comes. So, yeah, so that's from Charleston. And you've got up in the top there, so you've got the brighter sky there with looks like a potential lowering in kind of in the middle there, right between those two trees.
That's definitely an interesting little feature.
Yeah.
You can get close to it too, Jack, and kind of peek. And my observation, maybe, but it could just be a very dense rain shaft as well. But the problem is we're getting dark and it's hard to see. It's suspicious enough where it may very well be, but we know regardless there's going to be some rain and some wind and maybe even the chance for a tornado. So we'll watch it closely. Jack, let's get some love to our friends to the south there, because we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning at Strasburg, Stewardson to the east of Shelbyville. That's heading towards Neoga and Cumberland County. This one has a tornado possible tag on it too.
It does, yeah. So this is the one that's that just was newly issued that goes until 9 o'clock. Coles, Cumberland, Moultrie, Shelby counties are in parts of this. For 60-mile-per-hour winds, 1-inch in diameter hail, and still has that unfortunate tornado possible tag with it. We just can't seem to get rid of that tonight with a lot of these storms. And this one, again, has got some vorticity with it, some rotation possible. So it's going again at around 35 to 40 miles an hour. Trowbridge potentially at around 8:31. Neoga Elementary School and Neoga at around 8:36 and 8:37. Trilla at 8:44. Neal 8:48. Cottonwood 8:54. Toledo just before 9 o'clock. Greenup, if it holds together that long, until 9:08. And then Casey at around 9 to 21 there. So we'll have to watch out and see how that one goes. But that is again, tornado possible tag with that storm that's going through. And again, you know, we've got this tornado warning still, so we still have to stay on it. Really do appreciate everybody staying with us here. I know we've been on for a long time. We just got to make sure that we'll let people know what's going on. And these have gone through some big areas within our viewing area. We've had tornado warnings from west of Springfield already now down through Charleston, Mattoon. So these are big areas and a lot of communities, smaller communities in between. But there's a reason why we keep on going with it, and it's because the storm keeps on producing tornado warnings that we just can't ignore. We've got our view still from Charleston, and still have a lot of lightning strikes out of that. And it's going to be impressive here when it comes into town. I mean, it's the reflectivity's got it right over Charleston right now. And so pretty soon here, it's got to start raining here on our camera. Obviously, the pavement is wet, but I mean, pretty soon here, it's going to have to be just a torrential downpour.
I mean, that lightning is quite impressive there, Jim.
Yeah.
The warning for the tornado is still in place. They're saying at this point, the National Weather Service says a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado over Charleston. You're watching it live right now. There's indications it maybe isn't down, but that doesn't mean it won't happen real fast. But the other thing they mentioned is there may be some golf ball-sized hail. So, Jack, we may get some shots of some hail falling in that camera shot right there.
Yeah, we got another picture coming on board here.
Oh, wow.
This one is going to be...
Wow, look at that. That's that impressive shot we were talking about.
So southeast side of Mattoon there.
Yeah, that's the grain elevators. When you go around
elevators.
the curve on 57, you're going on the south and east side there. You're looking back to the north and west. Those lights are downtown. You know, downtown's got the Amtrak station and places like that. I mean, that's an impressive looking shot there, Jack.
Oh, yeah, it's great. It's everything you'd want in a viewer submitted photo too. It looks fantastic.
And of course, we know the person went to their safe place immediately
after. Her name is Haley who sent it in. Haley sent it in. So thank you, Haley, for that picture, for sending that one in to us.
So, okay, let's go ahead and talk a little more about radar here real quick, Jack. If you can drive it for me. We've still got the tornado warning right here for eastern Coles County. We gave you already the all clear for Cooks Mills and Mattoon, and the National Weather Service has followed up with that. However, Lakeland College, you're under that new severe thunderstorm warning with this storm off to the west. It's located over Strasburg. You've got Stewartson in the neighborhood there. Windsor, there's Gaze. This storm is carrying in that general direction. It may be a South Mattoon, Lakeland College, Neoga exit problem as it carries off in. And again, that tornado possible tag, rightfully so, based on what we're seeing there. We're still going to focus on this Charleston storm here. You can notice how it was, you know, more of a line up here in Decatur, kind of lined out, and then this storm has raced out in front of it and kind of broken off there. That's what's helped this tornado potential. There's all this unstable air down here to the south, this humid air that's in place and allowing it to do so. So quick check here. If I had to peg the rotation, it's on the west side of Charleston right now based on this. That right there, it's weak. It's still enough, though. Charleston, you got to be in your safe place, and I don't want to rule any part of Charleston out here, even off to the east and south. Hutton, you're next in line. No warning for you now officially, but you might think about getting to your safe place. You live east of Charleston. Eventually, you get out towards Kansas, Ashmore, in that general direction. The severe thunderstorm warning does exist, and there we are seeing that camera shot in Charleston right now. The rain coming down. We'll probably just keep that up for a little while here while we're talking about these storms. Let's show a little love here with the velocity on the storm in eastern Shelby County. That's kind of out by the lake, it seems there. A little bit to the east of that, I should say. Here's Windsor. Here's Strasburg. You got Stewartson further to the south. You can go south and get into Effingham on the north and west side. And what we see here is this kind of surge of the red. Red is going away. So the radar is up that way. The beam comes this way, and it can sample how the products it sampled or how the targets it samples are going. So maybe we have some surging of wind right here. Well, what just happened about, was it a half hour, 45 minutes ago, Jack? We had some surging winds. We got that circulation on the north side here, so we're watching that closely. No tornado warning for Cumberland County, no tornado warning for Shelby County. We just got the storm over Charleston, but we may very well watch this one spin up a little more as it gets closer to Neoga. It seems like the last time we did that, we had to watch. Then something else I was noticing on mine, Jack, is you kind of look at these little spots in the line here. One by Cowden, and I want to see, there's an individual cell right there, Cowden-Herrick area. Another one north of Vandalia, that is on 51, an individual cell there. Another one south and east of Hillsborough. That one will come more towards Vandalia, north of Kaskaskia in Fayette County. These individual cells maybe are taking advantage of enough where enough spin in there. And if we can kind of pause real quick here, Jack, to look at these individual cells and pull that velocity up there, I noticed there was just a little bit right there, maybe a little bit there. Nothing overly concerning. Now, we're going to watch it, though. So we'll keep you updated, downstream if something were to happen where the storm's now north of Vandalia, near Ramsey, east of Ramsey, up towards Cowden and Herrick, towards Effingham. You've got Strasburg, Stewartson, Sigel, Neoga, and Effingham. That might come in that direction, but primarily still here to the warning for Charleston. And you can see that camera shot, Jack.
Yep, so we got more pictures first off, though, Jacob. We've got this one from Cecilia, I believe, and this one was from Mattoon. Yep, this is from downtown Mattoon. So you can see the shelf cloud going right over the town there. And you've got
and that circulation and that was probably wrapped up in rain at that point. So
yeah, so you're
not going to get a good vantage point of it anyways.
Yeah, that's a pretty good shot, but you could tell that it was about to rain here probably any moment after that picture was taken. Our Charleston first mid camera, it's got just torrential downpours currently going on it right now. I do want to just punch it back over to Mattoon just to see what it's doing there.
Yeah, you've got that on your computer, I think, if I did that right, I hope. Where they've got Charleston up, they've got the Skycam up, so what they might have to do is bring Max 2 up if you've got the Skycam there. Did I do that right, or did I?
Yep, oh yeah, so it's done raining in Mattoon. It's done raining in Mattoon, so you've got just a lot of the lightning flashes there, the pavement's wet, but you can clearly see the dealership and the lights are still on there. So, okay, just want to check.
Okay, Jack, if they can bring me up back on your computer, I want to take a look at, again, that storm in Coles County, because I have a suspicious feeling we're not done with for the night here. So we can get that up-close velocity imagery here and drop the warnings. We're going to do a little analysis. First off, the velocity, there's something kind of here, yeah, but right here, we were looking at that earlier. The other thing I've noticed, Jack, we can use the debris detector. I don't spot a tornado on that, but that can be used for more than finding debris. We can use that correlation coefficient, and I can see it on my GR product here in my computer. See these blues on the south side here? What may be happening is this may be some more inflow kicking on in. In fact, if I put my hand here, here's 130 Charleston. You take that around to kind of in the Hutton area. If you're out there and you've got that wind blowing in, that may very well be a situation where we've got to watch it here, maybe trying to recycle. These storms have come up and gone down and come up and gone down. They've been like a seesaw as far as it goes. It looks like the tornado warning has dropped. It's 8:30 now. Yep. I don't know what you think, Jack, but maybe we need to stay with this a little longer, especially since Charleston likely getting some large hail. If we can look at the reflectivity from Lincoln there only, just to get a little view, you'll be able to see the notch on there. We're looking at all the radars. We just want to get the Lincoln one on there. There's a little bit of an inflow notch that's down there, right, to the south and west side of Charleston. So, if you can kind of get that up, maybe we can peek at it here. There we go. You kind of see right here that little bitty curve on the south side of Charleston. Where was that blue color we showed you? It was right down here. There's that curve in the road in 130 south of town. So maybe we're not quite done yet here. No immediate threat for a tornado. I don't know what you think, Jack. I mean, I kind of feel like at this point, whatever shows on, folks have only watched half of it. Maybe we just watch this for a little bit longer here just to make sure this doesn't pulse up like it did when it came into Mattoon, and we get it out of Coles County and pass it off to our friends in Terre Haute that are watching it here as far as it goes, especially with this storm here that's coming into Neoga as well. I think we'll have to watch it a little bit closer and then keep our eyes further down the line. But we're getting close to the end, Jack. I think that's safe to say here. Yeah. Again, that hail right there. And maybe we can get another check on the Skycam before we send it back to you, Jack, just to see if any of that hail is coming down. Just
heavy rain.
Still rolling.
Yep.
It looks like there's some rain there. I don't see anything on the ground. You usually be able to tell if it's hail. And if there is hail, it may be small hail as far as it goes. So there we go. I'm not seeing much. It looks like, from what I'm seeing here and some of my products behind the scenes, that hail core may just be rolling in now even, potentially.
Yeah, but it doesn't really look very impressive anymore.
No, not quite as much as it did earlier.
It's just may have kind of once it went through the kind of by Mattoon and Dorrance especially, it kind of pulsed up a little bit there by Charleston, but then now it's not very impressive looking.
Well, that's good. We like to hear that. I think a lot of folks in Charleston that maybe had cars sitting out in the street be happy to hear that it got rid of all of its hail over towards Loxa, north of the airport, up towards the north side of Mattoon. So, Jack, take it away, do a little analysis here. We'll kind of figure out behind the scenes and see if the National Weather Service, what their thoughts are. The way the storm is, though, I'm still a little suspicious of it. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I don't know yet. We still got to wait and kind of see. We'll keep it up going for a few more minutes, but the latest velocity scan didn't look to be too impressive anymore. I get that it's been pulsing up and down, but it's not been, doesn't look as very good anymore. So that we'll take it from the cell center itself, going off to the east-southeast at around 35 miles an hour. Hutton at around 837, Parker 850, Martinsville at 857. 914 from Marshall, and then eventually gets into Indiana with Wabash there. So we're still kind of watching it as it goes off to the east-southeast. Might be passing just to the north of Casey right now. Still have to kind of see how it keeps on going with the latest scans, because sometimes they're able to keep on turning and turning more to the right, which is what's actually happened here. The storm was moving pretty much straight east. Then it has kind of curved down a little bit, especially once it got into Macon County by Decatur. It started to turn more to the southeast, and now we have it where it is right now, moving through the Charleston-Mattoon area. So still keeping an eye on things here. Not seeing any new chatter from the National Weather Service just yet. But our warnings go until, let me get those back up here. Our warnings go until 9 o'clock for the one that had the tornado warning in it, Coles, Clark, and Edgar counties, and also until 9 o'clock, Coles, Cumberland, Moultrie, Shelby counties. They are both now essentially identical warnings with 60-mile-per-hour winds, 1-inch in diameter hail size possible within those as well as also the tornado possible tag with those. Definitely, though, the northern storm is the stronger one. You can see with the reflectivity, you've got more in the way of the reds and even some of the purples showing up there. So that is going to be more of the stronger one, the heavier rain showers one, and also even potentially with the hail core too. Back off to the west, so Mattoon, Paradise down there, really just to the west of Neoga. That one's coming through, and then you've got more storms down to the southwest, but they have now lost their warnings down there. So we are left with 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado possible tags on both of these, and they both do go until 9 o'clock. They just trimmed that one, so it still goes for 60-mile-an-hour winds. They upped the hail, and look at that. The tornado possible tag is now done with that one. That is good. That is good news there. So as it goes into portions of Clark, Coles, Edgar counties now as it leaves the Charleston-Mattoon area south of Ashmore and now moves closer to the Hutton area and eventually gets closer to Parker and Dolson and probably north of Martinsville. The actual Warren storm itself gets very close there in Martinsville. As of right now, we don't have a tornado possible tag with it anymore, and the reason being velocity, yeah, it's just not what it used to be. So that's some good news there. The rotation just does not look to be as impressive.
That's good. We like
that. And so that's good. That's good. So if we can keep that going for a few more minutes here, I think maybe we might be able to do something here.
I think we've said that a few times before, Jack, and look where that's gotten us here.
Keep jinxing myself.
Yeah, right. So maybe
thirsty.
Not say that there. As far as it goes. Okay, I got some viewer pictures real quick, Jack, and then I'll run through some storm reports that have come on in here. This was taken near Allerton, looking towards Champaign. You can see the cloud cover here. It seemed like it stayed a little more cloudy to the north, and that may have prevented some of the stronger storms further up the line into Champaign, Danville area. And that's good, but it gave a little splash of color there in the sunset. That photo came from Jasmine. I got another photo. This is from south and east of Beement. Margie sent this on in. And you can see the picture itself. She's looking off to the storms that passed on by to the south there. Of course, Beement, we love Beement, and Kevin spent some time there. You can see the impressive looking cloud cover there across the region. nice color with the way the sunset was coming down, too. Again, we still got 2 warnings, just severe thunderstorm warnings. We're probably getting ready to wrap up, it seems like. We'll do a little last-second radar check of a minute here, but that warning for Charleston, that storm really is cycled down here. The tornado possible tag continues in Shelby, northwestern Cumberland, Coles County. That's a severe thunderstorm warning. Still a storm there. That severe thunderstorm watch continues to get trimmed back, and really we're kind of from Mattoon, Charleston, Effingham to the south and east. A number of reports starting to filter in as far as the tornado goes. We had 5 reports for it here from Cass County, far northeastern Morgan County, and then north and east of Springfield by Mechanicsburg and Dawson. There was a report I saw that came across, Jack, where earlier tonight near Dawson, there were power poles that were blown down.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
And I think that was 3 miles west. Is that correct? Do you see that? That way in the back, our producers here.
Yeah. Yeah, that was from 612.
612. So by now, the electric company's probably gotten out there. And I think Sangamon County, I don't even think had any outage reports.
That last time I checked, they did not.
Yeah, so that's probably old. There's been a few hail reports and some of these isolated storms, but then things have looked a little more quiet. Of course, we've had Mark Maxwell out there watching things, and hopefully it stays that way. There may be some hail reports that trickle in late here and keep us updated as far as it goes. So, quick reminder here before we, I guess, toss it back, as I think we're thinking here. Is that correct, Jack?
Yeah,
I
think we should try to do that. That way we can prepare ourselves for the 9 and
catch a break and hopefully not jinx ourselves again. Remember, you can watch live on WCIA TV if there's a tornado warning active. We'll be right back here. We've been with you since 5 o'clock newscast here. Live stream, we'll keep the live stream going, it seems like, on the website and on the app as long as it's warranted. But if these storms continue to trend downward, then we may not even need to be there, and we may be done for the night before all is done. That watch only goes till 9. I don't know if the extension also included a time extension for areas to the south and east. But, you know, we'll keep an eye on it for you. No weather radio. Y'all have it down there in Coles County and whatnot where that mobile devices, your wireless emergency alerts have been a thing as well. And then I did just get a picture of some hail in Charleston. So I'm going to bounce to that real quick. This one came from, let me check. This came from Nathan Ward. And you can see that hail right there. And some of that hail looks like that's probably quarter size. If you ask me, Jack, as far as it goes. So maybe getting a little bit of hail in there from this storm.
Yeah.
So we'll pass that report on as well to the National Weather Service as far as it goes. So pretty much, again, have those ways to get alerts. If there's anything new, you'll get the push alert first on the WCIA 3 weather app as we watch these storms continue to hopefully be done for the night, Jack.
Yes, just a quick little thing here. The severe thunderstorm watch for the additional counties, Clark, Clay, Crawford, Cumberland, Effingham, Jasper, Lawrence, Richland counties, actually does go until midnight.
Extended to midnight. Was that a new watch or just a local extension?
That came an hour ago. We probably missed it when we were.
I saw the counties were added. I didn't realize there was a time extension.
So we'll keep poking at things here and looking at things, make sure that we've got it. But I think we're going to be all right here. I mean, obviously, if stuff pulses back up, you know where we'll be. We'll be right back on. But I think just to get ourselves kind of ready to go here for the newscast, I think we might be able to just to
toss it back.
Sign off. Yep.
Yeah, we'll watch that storm near Neoga. Maybe there's a little bit of rotation near Paradise. That's probably what they're watching. More than likely, though, I don't think that's the case. And Jack, if you wanted to check that on yours, or I can check that on mine here. I just had it up.
Yeah, there's still
just
some
very little. It's nothing that's overly impressive. But if there is something, you got Mattoon, Lake Mattoon down here, Paradise. I mean. It's not a lot to look at, but it's enough where we'll be here behind the scenes, just kind of keeping an eye on it as far as it goes. So we'll watch it if something does happen.
Yep.
Jack and I'll be here.
So just like the Oscars, the music's playing here, which means it's our time to be done. Really appreciate everybody watching in. Hopefully you were able to stay safe this evening as these storms came on through. We're going to keep on going here on social media, and then we'll bring you the latest for 9 and 10. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your evening.